Hey guys, Space Marine 658 here. Today we're going to be expanding our quest system. We're specifically going to be adding a way to trigger cinematics via gameplay tags. Now, of course, this was voted on by a poll, as you can see here. We've also got a few other things we want to tackle as well due to some requests. If you'd like to get in on the polls, you can subscribe to the channel for any of the open polls, or you can become a member because we're going to start having members-only polls as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. So there's a few things here to really get a detailed understanding of how the trigger system works. We're going to first want to set up a very basic system here. So let's go ahead and we're going to delete these level sequences that I already have. And I'm going to delete this camera. Yeah, because we should be able to delete that. It's just a soft reference right now. All right, and I'm going to actually remove this sequencer. There we go. Save all these. All right. So what we're going to want to go ahead and do is to actually get these set up is first, let's go ahead and set up a level sequence. So hit add level sequence, and we're just going to call this, we'll say quest finished, and hit save. And then what we're going to want to do is go ahead and we're going to need to add an actor to sequence, but to do so we need to actually have a camera actor. So we're going to first go in and add a new camera from view. So if you go down to the hamburger menu and then go create camera here and then camera actor, one thing we're going to do is turn off this constraint aspect ratio. That just adds some black bars to kind of make you fit in a specific aspect ratio, but we're not too worried about that right now. And after you've done that, go ahead and hit add actor to sequence, and then we're going to search for that camera. And now one thing we're going to do is we're going to want to blend, right? Because we want to go from the player's camera to this camera in a smooth way. So we're going to check can blend. And then we're going to go in about half a second or so and set the transform. Now we want the camera to return this position. You don't always want that, but for now that's what we want. So we're going to also set a transform position at the end, that we don't have to set it later, figure out exactly where we were at. Now that we've got that cam blend, on the sides here, you should see these blue bars with like a little yellow triangle at the top. If you click and drag, if you do it on the blue bar, you'll see here that there's not blending. But if you go up to the top at the yellow, then you'll drag it over and you'll see this little graph, and that will show you that it's actually blending between what the camera will be and where it is right now. And then from here, we're going to move the marker here right to the middle. We're going to add a key somewhere else. So let's go somewhere like up here. And right now we're piloting the camera. So you can see here in the upper left hand side, it says pilot actor, camera actor. We could detach, but for now we're going to leave it. That makes it easier to move the camera around because you can kind of readjust, get exactly where you want it, and then add the transform here. Now we're going to go ahead and eject ourselves from that camera. As you can see, there's the camera, and if we move this, you should see it move it around. Perfect. That is our level sequence. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Now what we're going to want to ahead and do is to actually trigger this, right? We want to listen for that quest completed, right? Because that's where we're triggering it here. Now, of course, you could trigger it on any of the other tags if you wanted to listen for any other specific tags. But for now, what we're going to want to do is we're going to go to our level blueprint. We're going to grab our player pawn in our get component by class. And instead of our quest tracker, what we're going to want to do is go ahead and grab our gameplay tags. And we're going to add a tag listener. So I believe we just called it tag listener. So we're going to bind event to a tag listener. Sorry, I am misspeaking here. It's been a little bit since we've really gotten into this. So we're going to want to go into our, so it's just called add listener. Okay, so we go to our level blueprint. We're going to do add listener. And so what we're doing here is we are basically saying our level blueprint is now going to listen for a specific thing being added. So we go ahead and we're going to go and we're going to say, let's listen on quest 1 completed. Now, as you can see, this is listening for these. So we're going to need to add a new one here. We're going to want to go and So we're adding the quest completed tag, right? So the question is, where are we adding that? So we're going in here and we're saying, hey, you've removed the active quest. You're gonna, in the completed quest tag, you're adding that tag, right? We're adding the current active quest as a completed one. So we need to be listening to the completed tags. Well, our current system is not actually listening for those changes. So to actually do so, we're going to need to add a little bit extra here. But what we can do, the easiest thing is going to be an add listener. So let's go ahead and grab this, and we're going to actually copy this entire function, and we're going to go over to our quest tracker, and we're going to paste the function. This will be called add listener. But instead of binding to all these events and stuff, what we're going to do is we're going to create a quest completed. We'll call it dispatch. And of course, we can always add variables up here if we want to. That way we could, for example, in our UI, if we want to add like a text, we could call this like quest name. And we'll do that for now. We'll worry about that later, but we'll do that. And then let's go ahead and delete these. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to add in that first level 1 quest one. And what we're going to do is we're going to listen for this. And that will get called here. And we're going to say, oh, sorry, not call. That's going to get bound here. So we're going to say bind. So upon listening for this gameplay tag, we're going to bind it to this event delegate. And let's actually remove this one because you have to do it like this. There we go. All right. So bind event here. So this is adding a listener. And then what we need to do is we need to also make sure that when this is called, that gets triggered. So let's go ahead and go here. And let's see here. Let's go quest completed. And right in between here, between the remove active and the add a check for linked, we're going to call that quest completed. And we'll just say test for now. Test completed. All right. So we come back here, instead of adding a listener to our gameplay tags, as we can see here, now we're going to want to instead add it to our quest tracker. And we're going to call add listener. We're going to say quest 1. Now, one thing you may be wondering is, if we're going in our quest tracker, right? So we're adding the listener for the quest 1, gameplay tag 1. So this quest completed by dispatch, right? So we're going to want to, basically, what this is setting up is a very generic way to trigger this. Now, if you have multiple quests, the problem comes in then, how do we know which quest is actually been completed? And that's where we're going to go in here, and we're going to actually add the actual quest completed. So if we go here and we'll do quest, and let's see here, there it is. There's our structure for our quest, and we'll call this the quest completed. Then what we're going to go and do is we come back here, and this is of course going to need to have a refresh. And what we can do is we can plug in our recently completed quest. So let's grab this, plug that in there. Here we go. Now, of course, you could make a dispatcher for each and every single quest, but that's a lot. By making this generic and just passing in the recently completed, what we can do is we go back to our, here, we go back to our level blueprint. We can add a custom event, and we'll call this quest listener. And for this specific one, this is listening for that quest 1. What we'll do is we'll just do a quick break, and then we'll basically hide all unconnected. And then what we're going to do is, I believe we have a UUID tag. This is where that comes in real handy, in that we can then look at it and go, okay, is this the quest that we are looking for? So if we go back to our game instance, let's make sure we have that set correctly. Yeah. So we have our quest 1 level 1. And so if we go to our level blueprint, we'll just say, is this equal to this? So what we can do is we can push this out to a variable, and we'll call this, for now, we'll just leave it as gameplay tag to listen for. But you can name that, quest 1 completed. And now we're just checking, hey, is this the thing we were listening for? If so, then trigger. Now, of course, right now that's the only thing that's going to trigger it, because in our actual quest tracker here, when we're doing the add listener, we're only doing the 1 tag. But of course, if we have multiple tags coming in here, in theory, we probably don't even need this if we're just only ever going to use this to listen for gameplay dispatches. We probably could get away without even needing to have a switch on gameplay tag. So that is one thing you might be able to even get rid of. But for now, we're going to leave it in case there's any kind of weird edge cases we need later. But yeah, let's go back here. So we're going to listen. We're going to say, hey, is this the one we were looking for? If so, let's just go ahead and just print the name. And so we'll say, if this matches, we're going to print, just so we can make sure we're triggering the correct one. So what we should see now is when we go to pick up the gun, we should be looking for quest completed tag, which is going to be this, for now, quest name of test completed. Just so we can make sure that that is working correctly. Boom. So you see, we got test completed. And so let's go back there and let's actually just plug in the actual name now. So if we grab this, we'll say, give me the name, just plug that in back there. All right. So now the question is, how do we trigger our actual level sequence? Well, instead of printing out the tag, what we're going to want to do is actually go ahead and grab a reference to that level sequence. So let's grab this quest finished. And we're going to come back to our level instance, and we should be able to right click and create a reference. From here, we're going to pull a sequence. If I can spell today. And we're going to do a get sequence player, and we're going to hit play sequence. So if this is true, go ahead and trigger the sequence. So let's do this, and boom. As you can see, camera quickly moved and then moves back and then boom. And we're done. It's as simple as that. Now, the cool thing is, since that's triggered on a gameplay tag, depending on how you set up your different level sequences and stuff, you can do a lot of really flexible things with the cinematics. But yeah, that is pretty much it. From here, you could, in theory, unbind this. So for example, if you want to go here and remove the listener, you could do so. But normally it shouldn't trigger more than once. Once a completed quest is completed, it shouldn't re-add it to that system. But yeah, that should be pretty much everything. If you have any questions, definitely leave them down below. But otherwise, good luck and good hunting.